Othering Podcast explores the world of marginalized communities with a focus on the disabled and LGBTQ+. In our discussions, we will provide a platform for our guests to advocate and share their stories. By delving deep into their difficulties and successes, we will explore the changes necessary to improve lives everywhere. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to the Othering Podcast with Mike and Dory.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Good.
Good. All right. Today we are talking to Kaley DeRose. She was diagnosed with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis at the age of 2. And from there, she learned how to balance, or had troubles actually learning how to balance health and work. So as she got older, she decided she wanted to help people with chronic illnesses create flexible income streams so that they can earn money on their own time and at their own energy levels instead of working against it, which I can relate to 100%. So welcome, Kaley.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on and to talk with us. So let's start off with, of course, you were diagnosed at the age of 2. Do you know about what it was that kind of made the doctors or your parents kind of be like, maybe we need to check this out? What's going on here?
Yeah, so I was basically, from the time I was born till I was diagnosed, I was crying all the time, and I never wanted to be let go of. I always wanted to be held, just always reaching out for my parents. And one day I just kind of fell on the floor and I wouldn't move. I was just done. And
Wow.
and not to
Wow.
mention I would always crawl as well. But yeah, so that's when my parents were like, there's something wrong. We need to take her to the doctor. And they took me to the doctor and they weren't sure what was wrong either. So they sent me to another hospital in San Francisco, California, which is about 3 hours from where we lived. And I was there for a few days while they were doing testing. And eventually the doctors found out that I have juvenile rheumatoid arthritis.
Wow.
Wow.
Is that a genetic disorder or is it just kind of random?
I believe it's a little bit genetic because my mom has some arthritis in her wrist and my grandma has a little bit. We're not quite sure how I got that. It's kind of a weird phenomenon. Everyone's like, you're too young to have arthritis. How does a little girl have arthritis? My whole life I've heard that all the time. But yeah, we're really not sure what happened or why I got that. But
Is the arthritis in a certain area, or is it everywhere for
it's
you?
everywhere, but most of my life I've struggled with it in my knees, in my ankles, and fingers, elbows, jaw. Those are definitely the worst places.
Yeah.
Especially in the jaw. I mean, I would imagine that kind of makes eating difficult or,
Everything.
Yeah.
yeah.
I always have these crazy jaw cracks every morning, or like when I'm eating, I'll just crack my jaw. It's satisfying, but also painful.
I believe it.
Does that happen a lot when you yawn too?
Yeah.
The jaw
uh-huh.
crack? Yeah. I hate that when that happens.
Yeah, it's painful to me. I can't imagine it having to have it happen every morning and such with the cracking, but
Yeah, it's like, good morning, world.
yeah. And that's not to say that mine is anything like yours. It is not. It's different types of stuff. But when you wake up, is your whole body more stiff? Do you have to take medications for it in the mornings?
Well, luckily, the past few years, I've been on some good medications. It's really under control so far. I mean, there's those occasional flare-ups, but I do take an injection in the stomach twice a week. I do it to myself now. I used to have my parents do it, but I've been on a lot of different medications my whole life. And this one that I'm taking right now, it used to be a bi-monthly infusion. And I would have to go to Sacramento, which is 2 hours from where I live, just to get this done and sit in the chair for 4 hours, skip school. And then my veins are so tiny that they would have to poke me about 4 or 5 times every time I'd go there. And it was just
Oh,
terrible. But once I turned 18, my rheumatologist said that it would be okay for me to switch from the infusion to the injection form. So That's what I've been doing for the past few years, and it's been pretty nice compared to some other things that I've tried.
Have you been on multiple types of medications? Like, I can't think of the names offhand. There's so many out there now. But like,
Yes, I've been on methotrexate.
yes,
Fuck that. I hate that one.
yes,
I mean, it helps, but it makes me feel like I have the flu. Apparently, it's a type of chemotherapy,
yes.
and
Wow.
yeah, it was basically just making me puke all day long for the next 3 days after I take it. I would even puke sometimes before even taking it just because the thought of it freaked me out. And I took that for a few years, and eventually I got old enough to say I can't do this anymore. So
Yeah, I
I've
have.
taken methotrexate and Enbrel, and then right now I'm just taking Actemra.
I have not heard anything good about methotrexate. Everybody I've seen that has to take it for anything always talks about it, how it's the flu, basically. And how was
It's
Enbrel for
terrible.
you?
Enbrel was fine. It just wasn't strong enough to completely get rid of all the symptoms like methotrexate would, but I took those at the same time. So I'd do like one metho shot on Monday and then an Enbrel Wednesday and Friday, something like that.
Is the Enbrel a painkiller, or is that something different?
No, it's another injection. It's just, I guess it reduces inflammation.
How was it growing up with, having to take these infusions? And you mentioned getting to skip school a lot because it would take 4 hours. And do you feel like it hindered your school life a lot? Or,
Yeah, definitely. I definitely felt behind in school because I was always at doctor's appointments and getting those infusions. And also another thing was like these kids would wonder why I was always gone. And I was embarrassed, and I would tell them. They'd be like, "Why do you have that? You're too young." And it was really embarrassing to me, honestly. But now I'm proud and I can talk about it and
yeah,
whatnot. But eventually, school got easier for me, and then I went off to college and I got a degree at 21. So
that's
I
good.
did all right,
Excellent.
but it was a struggle, elementary school, middle school, and whatnot.
Do you remember at what age you really realized, I guess, what your diagnosis was and the effect it was going to have on you? Because I would guess it too, you
Um,
didn't really know what was going on. You just knew it hurt.
I don't know. I feel like I kind of just that's all I knew. So it wasn't like an all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I have this. It was just kind of gradually I realized that I'm different than other people.
Yeah, I could understand that. And you weren't bullied for it, right? Or were you?
A little bit. I can't really think of any specific situations I was in, but yeah, people definitely made fun of me for it. Like I would get this is one situation, like people would call me sausage fingers. So my fingers
Wow.
were like always inflamed and bigger than the other kids, whatever.
That's just not right.
No, it's not.
Especially if they know that you have something wrong, right? And you've told them.
Kids can be cruel, but
Yeah.
to be fair, sometimes kids just they don't understand a lot of things. And when you have things that go wrong with your body and you know it and you feel it or whatever it is, sometimes it kind of ages you and makes you older than a lot of the kids around you. Did you feel that way, that you were kind of beyond them?
Matured faster.
A
Yeah.
little bit, yes, because I just felt like no one knows what I go through. Like, I'm definitely a lot stronger than these kids. Like, these little pussies would cry if they had to get a shot in there. And then they have to go to the doctor and get a vaccine. They're crying when I'm over here getting poked like 10 times a month.
Yes.
Did you ever have issues with doctors growing up or today with, I guess, believing you and helping you? Or have they always been pretty
You know, I've
supportive?
actually had really cool doctors, I think. Yeah, the one that I just recently transferred over to one in Tennessee because I moved over to Tennessee for college and I had to get out of the juvenile hospital. And she's really cool. I like her a lot. She totally understands. And she always tells me, like, usually doctors think that you're lying
Yeah.
or yeah, they think that you're lying about your symptoms being worse than they are, but she says that I'm the opposite. Like I'm underplaying my symptoms. She'll be like, I know that that thumb hurts. Like, I'm like, no, it doesn't.
I mean, I guess when you're basically coming out of the womb hurting, at a certain point, you
Yeah.
kind of get used to a certain level of pain, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
part
that's what
that,
my mom says all the time. She's like, that's all you know. It's just normal.
Yeah.
yeah, and then like there are people that are crying when they get like a hangnail. I knew people who would like, oh my God, my thumb's gonna fall off because I got a hangnail. It's like, are you serious? What's wrong with you? It's a hangnail. Just
Yeah.
cut it off. And then you've got those of us that have, been in pain for so long throughout your life that you kind of grow a backbone, I guess you could say.
used to it,
Yeah,
yeah.
you get way too used to it. And I do agree with Mike that it's unfortunate that, you had that experience because I would imagine, and, please correct me if I'm wrong, that sometimes it takes away from just being a kid, understanding, that the levels of pain and being able to deal with those levels of pain.
Yeah, definitely.
And
I agree with that.
I'm guessing you weren't able to play many sports or anything growing up.
I did play basketball actually, and a little bit of softball, baseball, but there were definitely a few times where I had to sit out and
Yeah.
couldn't participate, and it sucked.
I would imagine that would be
Yes.
painful at times. Did it
Yeah.
affect your ability to like play outside with friends and stuff and do the normal
Yeah.
kid stuff?
Yeah, and I definitely feel like it contributed to my athleticism to today because I feel like other people have a lot more stamina than me, other people have a lot bigger muscles than me, and I feel like it's just they developed that growing up, and I was always on the sideline and I never got to build those muscles and that stamina, and I've always felt like the slowest runner and smallest biceps, like just
No, you haven't
weaker
seen
than
the
the
lower.
other people.
You haven't seen the slowest runner until you watch me run. I was slow and just because I had flat feet growing up, and it would, for me, not everybody, but for me, it would affect my lower back and kind of make it difficult to do a lot of things and move around because, well, my back would hurt and my legs would hurt. So I could not move fast if my life depended on it. However, there was one instance where a friend of mine had spent the night and she left her Cheetos. And I ran after her car to give her back her Cheetos, and I actually was able to run and catch up to the car.
The important stuff matters.
Yes, of course. The important stuff matters. So, you may not have the muscles as big as some of the other kids right now, but you've built other muscles. You've built other things that definitely will help you in the long run or in the short term, too.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
So, what was college life like? I mean, assuming you're living on campus, it's usually long walks, lots of
Well,
activity.
actually, no, I was involved. I started college in 2020, right when COVID was going on. So really all I knew was online school. And then when schools did open back up, I didn't want to go because I was like, this is nice. I don't have to put pressure on my joints.
Yes.
I don't need to deal with assholes at school. Like, I can just do this at home. And so I just did online school through my whole college career.
Yeah, you got lucky. Like our daughter's
Yeah.
in college in Long Island, and walking across her campus is painful for a normal person, in my opinion. Just
Yes,
so
it
much
would.
walking and hills.
She's
What
at,
does she have?
we're still kind of trying to find out what it is that's bothering her. But things bother her legs, and she has like gastro issues. And so walking across Hofstra campus for her is it's painful at times. And she's turning 24 this year.
We're getting old.
With having been able to do it online, do you feel like you missed out on anything college-wise? Because I've gone to college physically and I've been online, and I find that I enjoyed it way more online than being there. And so,
Mm-hmm.
do you feel like it kind of was a better experience?
Yeah, I think online was probably better, but I did get a lot of shit from my family because they were always like, you need to have that college experience. Why are you going if you're not even going to go to class and meet people? I definitely don't know as many people as I would have if I were to go in person, which is true on their side, but I don't know. I'd rather have no friends than go there. I'm
And less
Understandable.
pain.
introverted, I guess I'd say.
It's better to have a good quality group than quantity, in my
Hmm.
opinion. And I think that when you're going to college, you're kind of more interested in getting the degree and getting out. At least I
Hmm.
was. So I kind of understand that thought process. And
Yeah, right now it's just me, my dog, my girlfriend, and my mom. That's like my circle right now. I don't really
I
have any friends.
Nothing wrong with that.
no, there's nothing at all.
I I don't have many friends either.
I don't have any.
Not
I mean,
local.
yeah, not local. Everybody's in a totally different state from me. So, I mean,
Me too.
it's sometimes it gets a little lonely, but sometimes it's nice because if if you're listening, I love you guys, but it makes it easier to kind of cancel. Because you don't have to worry about them being right there, and you can't hurt their feelings because you're not right there with them. And I like that dynamic sometimes, and just being able to see them when they come to visit, or if I'm able to go and visit them. And I kind of
Yeah, having those friends that are like obsessed with you and want you to respond immediately, those are stay away.
exactly.
It's too much work. Like I'm not in a relationship with you. Like I want to text you when I want. I don't want to just get in trouble for not texting you back.
Yeah.
So
So, oh, go ahead.
in your intro, you had mentioned finding a balance between health and work. When you were in the workforce, or if you still are, how did that affect you? What was that balance that you were trying to find? Was it the walking to the office or sitting at a desk?
Well, I've actually been fired from multiple jobs that has to do with my chronic illness. One of them was because of the brain fog, and I
Okay.
just wasn't thinking straight and not doing my job right, like spilling drinks on people, not charging for the food, bringing out the
Okay.
wrong orders. And then the other one was because I was having a flare up and I had to call out a lot. So that definitely has contributed to my work life. But that's kind of why I started this business, which I am now a business coach and help people with chronic illness. I help spoonies build online income through digital products, Instagram, and automating that process. And then I also run an Instagram account where I share income tips, relatable chronic illness content, digital tools like my roadmap. And so, yeah, having those issues at work weren't good at the time, but now when I look back at it, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me because now I have a job that I love and I make
Yes.
a lot more money than I ever would have there. And I
Yeah.
get to help people who have chronic illnesses like me. So
Yeah,
it's
because
a all around win.
I would say that's a huge win. And there's a lot of companies out there that refuse to create any types of modifications or help in any way so that you can be successful at the company.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't even think that that's legal. I think you have to accommodate for
Yes,
disabilities.
but they'll
Yep.
usually they do like the absolute bare minimum to
Hmm.
try and get away with it, or they'll say, well, it's an old building, or they'll come up with some reason as to why they won't do anything to help you,
Uh-huh.
even though it is illegal to not offer any sort of accommodations.
Hmm.
And I think also sometimes people are afraid to ask, and we gotta get used to trying to ask for those accommodations
Yeah.
because it's our right.
Yeah, but it's a kind of, it feels almost degrading,
Yes,
embarrassing to ask for that.
it does.
I understand why people don't.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
I totally get it. because it's asking for help, and asking for help sometimes, especially the way that we're taught, growing up over the years, is that you're supposed to just do it. You don't need help. You're a big kid now, and all of that, pull yourself up by the britches stuff is all about individualism and doing it by yourself and not having a community. And so you get used to that, and then realizing that, I've got some sort of disability, I have to ask for help, makes it way difficult for people, because that ableism of, well, you got to do it yourself. You can do it, or somebody else who may have a similar disability could do it, so why can't you? And that's partially, I'm sure, why a lot of people don't ask for those accommodations. And then, it also depends on where you're at. Do you feel even safe or comfortable talking to your bosses?
Yeah, exactly.
Did all of that, all those problems and stuff, cause mental health issues going through both school and work? Kind of like anxiety going into
Yeah,
work?
definitely. It just made me feel like I'm different and I want to be like everyone else. And why does my life have to be like this? Why can't I just have a normal job and not spill drinks on people, not have to call out for flare-ups? It definitely made me a little depressed and anxious for my future, because I always thought, what the hell am I gonna do? Like, how am I gonna ever hold down a 9 to 5 with these issues? So yeah, it definitely messed with my head.
Do you know, like, at what point or how you kind of overcame that and embraced it to be able to help others and talk about it yourself?
Well, I've always been trying to find kind of ways to make income that aren't the traditional 9 to 5. And so I finally kind of figured it out recently. I got the sauce. And so yeah, just now that I know how to do it myself, I want to help other people do it as well, because it's actually not as hard as it seems.
Right.
And especially if you're learning from someone who's gone through all the trial and error, you kind of just do what they've learned and it's easy. So I
Yeah.
really want to help other people who are in my situation, because working a 9 to 5 is very difficult for people like us.
Yes.
Yeah. Whether it's pain or even mental illness, it's definitely difficult. Working 9 to 5, going into the office, worrying about bosses and coworkers. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially coworkers. Ugh, some of those people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yep.
also why I want my own business, so that I'm the boss and I don't have to worry about people bossing me around or dealing with shitty coworkers.
Yeah.
None of that. I just do my own thing, sell some digital products, make someone's day, life a little bit better. And yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're doing this for, is because we want to make people's lives better. We want to get, you all's words and voices out there. And because, for me, it feels really awesome being able to have that little, I guess you could say, idea of how you can help other people that are struggling with certain things. And I know that, history loves to repeat itself, and it's always cyclical in nature. And with things happening in the world, the first people that get screwed over is usually LGBTQ and, disabled people. And so I want to, like you, be able to help them feel better about, themselves. And even if you guys are coming in already feeling great and wonderful, if we can at least get one person that is listening and be like, you know what, if they're able to do it, why I can try that too, or I'm worthy, and things like that.
It's about the story.
Yeah.
Even if it's not active today, it's about the story of getting through it and growing up with it and dealing with society, which I think is harder than anything, dealing with society.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think what you guys are doing is great, because when I was younger, there wasn't really Instagram. There wasn't all these chronic illness communities that you could go to. I felt like I was the only person in the world, or only child in the world with arthritis. I had never met anyone who also was going through what I was going through. And so nowadays it's really nice that we have these support systems and communities, because it just makes you feel less alone, and
Yes.
it's really nice to have.
Yep. I think we've said it 100 times on this. The Instagram community is wonderful. All the people there are great. Everyone that's been on this show has been awesome. It is an amazing community, and it's helped Dory immensely with
Yes.
her CRPS and her disability.
You guys are amazing.
Yeah.
And just seeing everybody be able to, find their calling, I guess you could say, because find what they love to do. So many people don't even get a chance to do that because they're just, got to do 9 to 5. But when you're disabled, you kind of have to change that mindset. You got to find a new way of doing things because the old typical way doesn't always work. And, because we have flare-ups, so we can't necessarily be ready to go at a moment's notice like some other people may be able to. And, we get chronic fatigue, and that's another thing I want to ask you. Do you have chronic fatigue issues with yours? With your
Oh, of course. Yeah, there's some random days where you just can't even get out of bed. And it's nothing that you did to cause it. It's just a bad day, I guess. And so that's also a big piece of why I have this little business going. So you can also make money on flare days when you're in bed and can't do anything. You're still bringing in that money because it's all automated.
And that's important because, being disabled is expensive.
Yeah.
Like ridiculously expensive.
Can be.
You got your medications a lot of times, and then you've got your aids that you have to use, and insurance paying for a lot of that is, if you're in the right state, maybe. You might get lucky, but a lot of times it's like, nope, you don't need it because, you're not falling from 80 feet, so your whole body isn't broken, so you don't need those crutches or you don't need that wheelchair, kind of silly stuff like that.
Did you struggle with insurance at all or coverage for getting the help you needed and the injections and stuff?
No, I think my parents really.
Okay.
There were a few times where my parents had to pay out of pocket, and that sucked, but never me personally, because we have everything all figured out now.
Good.
But yeah, the system's very unfair that we have to pay for these medications for an illness we didn't ask for. And also, if you get on disability, it's like they don't even pay you crap.
Yeah.
And then it costs a lot of money to get on disability,
Yeah.
which you have to get a lawyer and wait a few years.
Yeah.
You can't work in that time. It just doesn't make sense. The system's really messed up.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. They usually say you have to try like 3 times to get onto disability, and you have to work. You can't work, and you have to have a lawyer. But how are you going to have the money for a lawyer if you can't work? And you have to meet a certain amount of hours, but like they don't even pay you a pittance. And if you're married, that's a whole other issue. And if you're not married, you can't get married, and it's ridiculous. We're already doing
agree.
hoops in order to survive. Why do we need hoops in order to just get the bare minimum of help?
And it's only going to get worse. You've kind of said it, and I've always known arthritis to be something more in an adult than a child. What's the prognosis for you as you get older and later in your life? Is it going to get worse, or do they not know, or stay the same?
I don't know. I try not to think about it. I'm like, if
Understandable.
I'm like this as a little kid, God, what am I going to be like when I'm 60? But I don't know. I really don't know how it's going to be.
Yeah.
I understand not wanting to really think about that or no, because like I just went to the neurologist. Thank you. I couldn't think of which neuro I saw, but I saw the neurologist today, and if all of my issues are like CRPS, he's like, unfortunately, CRPS has a mind of its own, and it'll do what it wants, whenever it wants, however it wants. And that's kind of frightening to me. So,
It's terrifying.
yeah. And you don't necessarily want to think about the pain, how it's going to possibly, change you in the future when you're dealing with a lot of it right now.
Yeah, I'll just deal with it when it happens, I guess.
I mean, not to be doom and gloom, but as someone with depression, thinking about the future is kind of hard in the first place.
Yeah.
So when you
Yeah,
add chronic pain on top of that, I can't even imagine how doomy and gloomy that is.
Yeah, but I am proactive, I guess. I try to go to the gym. I eat fairly healthy, I'd say, and watch my alcohol intake and no vaping, none of
Yeah.
that bad stuff. I'd say I'm pretty healthy for a 22-year-old girl. So I'm definitely watching what I eat to keep and just the things I do to keep the inflammation down.
So there are certain foods that I guess trigger it, make it worse.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
alcohol.
Oh yeah.
Alcohol, definitely. I mean, that's probably for anyone with a chronic illness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's hard when you're 22 years old and that's what everyone around you is doing.
You mentioned
Yes.
that your mom and your girlfriend are around to help you. So I'm assuming that they're your support system. Do they? How has that been for them? Your mom is your mom, and I get that. Like my mom helps me. Yes, people, she's still alive, um, and helps take care of me a lot. But between Mike and I, Mike's he helps me, and it's not like he stops. But his kind of thing is, I guess you could say, a little. Well, it is a lot different, the dynamic, because he has to help a lot more than I think he bargained for. How does your girlfriend feel about that? Like, is she happy? I mean, well, not happy, but you know what I mean.
Well, my girlfriend hasn't really seen me that bad. But I mean, one of our first dates was me going to the rheumatologist and I had to get my blood work done. And I was like, yeah, this is kind of what you're signing up for. A lot of doctors stuff, but she's very supportive. She always goes to all my doctor's appointments and she understands if I'm in pain or if I need a day to relax. But yeah, the whole time I've been with her, which is almost a year and like 15 days it'll be, she's just always been very supportive and she hasn't seen anything really bad and hopefully she never will have to. And then my mom, on the other hand, she lives in California, so I haven't lived with her in a while, like 3 years, and she's very supportive though. We talk on the phone every day and she tells me to eat healthy and to do all these things, what's
Very
the word?
motherly.
That's like that word, the natural kind
Yes,
of. I can't think of it, but
I know what you mean.
yeah,
Just
she wants me to do all that stuff and stay away from the parties and alcohol and watch my arthritis. Really wants me to get off the medication, actually. She wants, like, that's her goal is to make me so healthy that I don't even need to take anything. So that's kind of what we're working towards right now.
That would be nice.
is that
Yeah.
possible? I mean, not to be.
There's been a few times where the doctors are like, it's gone, she's cured. And then a few months later, it's worse than ever because I hadn't been taking any medication. So uh, it might
Wow.
be possible one day, but
That's
low hopes because I've been told it's gone before and it's not.
at least it's some hope. Gives
Yes.
you a little motivation to try to be healthier.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a girlfriend. Do you mind if we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I mean, we talked LGBTQ and disabled. When you were coming out with your family and all that, how did that go for you? And were they supportive?
Yeah. So I came out to my dad first when I was like 18, I think. And it was a very casual conversation. We're at Target and the pharmacist was talking to my dad and the pharmacist was obviously gay, you could just tell. And we were in the car talking and then he was like, that guy was so into me. And he's like, but I don't like guys or something like that. And he's like, what about you? And I was like, I could swing both ways. It was just like a very casual coming out. And he was like, oh, okay. And
That's
so I actually didn't tell my mom's side of the family until recently, like 3 months in, because they're more Republican and I was just
okay.
scared. But they're all really nice and chill. And my mom adores her and
Good.
wants
Good.
us to go live with her. But so yeah, my family's all pretty chill
Good. I like
about it.
hearing those stories.
Yeah. When you
Hmm.
are with her, your girlfriend in public, do you notice any like bad looks or awkward glances, anything like that?
Yeah, definitely people
Yeah.
stare.
Yeah.
You
But
mentioned,
you get
yeah,
used to it.
yeah. You mentioned you're in Kentucky or Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Okay. Yeah, I would think
Yes.
that it's a little bit of
It,
both. Like, some stairs, some, oh, whatever kind of thing.
yeah, it's definitely not something that you just like are out and proud about here.
Right. Yeah.
But when I was in California, it was no big deal. It's like, oh, I have a girlfriend or whatever. I like girls. It's normal. But then you come here and it's you kind of just learn to keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big difference.
And having lived across the United States in quite a few states and different areas, yeah, you get used to kind of like how you can act around certain people versus others. And like for me, I'm bi, and when I discovered that I was talking to somebody, and I realized that like I liked looking at girls and women the same way. Well, not girls. When I was a girl, I liked looking at girls, but I like looking at women and guys the same way. And what was it that made you realize that you were LGBTQ?
Oh gosh. Well, I had girl crushes in kindergarten. Like I would obsess over these girls in my class all throughout elementary school, high school, whatever. And then, but I was always in denial. And I remember one time in high school, some girl was talking shit to me and she's like, "Aren't you lesbian?" or something like that. Like that's what everyone thinks. And I was like, "No, no, no, no." And um that's when I really thought about it. And then that's when the denial kicked in. I was like, just push it away, push that thought away, it'll go away. Like, you don't like girls, that's not true. And then came my senior year of high school, and homosexuality has become more normalized,
Yeah.
and a lot more people are doing it. It's on TV shows and whatnot. So I felt a lot more comfortable, and that's eventually when I came to terms with it and just decided it's not that big of a deal. I don't need any big coming out parties. Like, I don't need to sit my family down. It's just like a normal thing.
Yeah,
I don't have to make a big deal about it.
and it should be a normal
Yeah.
thing.
It's exactly how it should be.
And I mean, really, we shouldn't have to come out at all. It should just be, who you bringing home, and oh, cool, what's their name, and
Yeah.
things like that, and what's their pronouns, and how should this go, and instead of oh my god, what's wrong with you, why are you like that, or even having like lavish parties of coming out. It should just be normal, because we're no
Yeah.
different than any other human.
Yeah, I mean, we're not doing anything wrong. It's not hurting anybody.
No,
So I don't know why is it a big deal.
it doesn't make any sense to me.
But also, it's a little annoying when people make it their whole personality. Like, I'm gay and just rainbows everywhere. And it's like, it's just a normal thing. Doesn't have to be a big deal.
And that's how it should be, no matter where you are on the LGBTQ, what letter you are. It shouldn't be a big deal. You're human, you're normal, and you're special for your being you.
And well, yeah, we are special. Some of us a little more than others. Um,
But not because of that.
right. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I love a good party, but I don't think it should be the norm that we have to like, have a disco ball or something to come out with.
And shouldn't get kicked out of your house because
No.
you came out, which we've talked to somebody already that had an issue where they got kicked out, and it's just,
That
it's not right.
No, it's not. It pisses me off. And, if anybody, needs help, please find help. There's helplines, there's websites and things like that out there that'll help you. I can't think of them offhand. So you'll have to come to our, like, our webpage and
It's not on there either.
No, I would put it there
But I think 988 is the suicide
for now.
hotline.
But
Yeah.
there's a Canadian one too.
Yeah.
And like I said, I would put it there.
And there's different local ones everywhere.
Do you have troubles? Sorry. Do you have those issues with brain fog where it's like you have moments of you can't remember at all what your track was going, what you were trying to say and the words or something?
Yeah, even having some today and throughout this podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes I just completely forget what I was just thinking about, what I was doing. My girlfriend does get a little bit mad about that. She'll be like, "You don't listen to me." I'm like, "No, I'm just struggling up there."
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's frustrating too because it's like you have this great thing that you want to say, and then you go to say it, and it's just like it's gone. You want to ask the perfect question, and then it's gone. And I've done that before, and I've had Mike actually leave them in our podcast because I want people to know that it's normal. It happens, and being disabled, you're going to have your moments of brain fog.
I kind of think it happens to everyone, just more often when you're disabled. But I
When
think
you
we all-
disabled,
Yeah.
When you're disabled.
there you go.
I think we all have our moments of brain fog, though, and forgetting the next word.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's stressors of trying to, make it in life and make it with our disabilities and not, just fall flat on our faces. But there are times when it gets a little more difficult.
All right. Well, it is getting near the end here, so I wanted to thank you very much for joining us.
Yes, thank you
And-
so much.
Thank you.
And I want to give you a chance to plug your business or talk about it, anything that you want to tell the audience, if there's a way they can find you, whatever you got.
Right. So my Instagram is at chronic.resources, and I help people who are struggling with money or struggling to get on disability, who just don't want to work a traditional 9 to 5 because they have too many flare-ups or brain fog. So I help people sell digital products, and you can follow me on Instagram. Feel free to DM me. I also have a roadmap. It's called the Spoonie Roadmap to 5K, and it will teach you the exact steps on how to make your first 5K.
Okay.
Awesome.
I'll put your
Mhm.
Instagram handle in the description. And you have a
Thank you.
website too, right? I believe I saw that on your Instagram.
Yeah, it's just a link to my roadmap.
Roadmap. Okay. I'll include that link as well.
And thank you
Thank
so much.
Had a
Thank you
good
for
time.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. And thank you for, doing what you do because we all need to
We all need help. Support.
Yeah,
Not
support,
but
help. Well, we need help too. Some of us more than others.
I don't want to say we all need help. That's negative. That's all.
No, it's positive help.
Well, just the way I said it, I thought it sounded weird. But okay. Yes. Thank you for all you do.
Yes.
And
Thank you for coming on and talking with us and
Of course.
having a conversation with us. And we hope to be able to talk to you again.
Anytime.
all right.
Bye-bye. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Please leave a rating for us wherever you listen. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok.
Othering Podcast is brought to you by Loudcore Productions in conjunction with your support. Your host, Mike and Dory Morris, graphics by Joshua Morris, and join us next week on the Othering Podcast.